Sleeper Wire, the only fantasy football radio show with more than a dozen multi-time, multi-league, multi-year champions. Listen to the Sleeper Wire show every Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Dash Talk.
Welcome, Sleepers. Welcome back. September 29th. Another episode of the pod. Got Mike Dirty Jobs with me. Got the darling. What's up, Dirty?
What's happening, man? How we doing?
Pretty good. How you doing, man?
Oh, doing good. It's getting cold up here, though. It's starting to get cold. You can tell football season's getting into full effect.
It's starting to go outside, and you could do the whole cigarette thing with no cigarette.
Yes.
Just blow out some smoke.
Yes, absolutely. And it is no fun. Seeing your breath? No. That just means it's cold, man. Cold.
Yeah. And I got Lucas. No cool name yet. Boulder.
It'll find itself, right?
You know, he's been coming. He's been coming from a title. He's been trying to come for the Prophet title. So I appreciate the the camaraderie, but it's staying here. The hat's staying here. So find your own name, Lucas.
Hey, that's fine. Maybe one of our listeners will help out with that.
Yeah. So we're here, guys. It's week 4. Maybe the season didn't start the way you like. It's okay though. You know, you got some questions. You want to trade Julio for peanuts? Accept his Chris Thompson for your Lamar Miller? Don't do that. Don't do that, guys. Come down from the ledge. We're here. Help save your season. We've got some headlines. We've got some do's and don'ts. And we're gonna recap the week. We're gonna see who should just start, who should just sit. Got a full load this week, so we just jump right into the headlines. What about it, guys?
Sounds good.
Sounds like a plan.
Andrew Luck. Oh,
Ooh.
November, they're saying. So this is what the past orthopedic surgeon is saying, that Andrew Luck might return not until November. This is crazy, guys. I mean, we were hoping week 6. Now we're looking at November. Are you dropping Andrew Luck or you holding on? What about the rest of the pieces, Lucas?
I mean, if it were me and I'd held him this long, I'd still drop him. There's no benefit to holding him right now, especially if you only have five spots on your bench. Move on, find someone else. Hopefully you drafted late enough that he was going in between the 8th to the 10th round, so he's not going to kill you, and you didn't need him to have a big season. If you drafted before that, hopefully you were able to pick up one of the guys off the waiver wire that was there that started having a solid season early on.
And what are your thoughts about this, Mike?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think it is probably time to drop him. Unfortunately, I don't see holding on until November. If you've got an IR spot, obviously tuck him away in there. But if you don't have an IR spot, I don't really see why this guy would be sitting on your bench. I think
you drop in Moncrief?
Yeah, I'm out on Moncrief too.
Yeah. Oh, man. What about Jack Doyle? Jack Doyle's another one where he had that good game, that first good game, and then he just kind of disappeared on us. Are we getting rid of Jack Doyle? Or, Hilton had a great game as well. Like, are we buying that? So I guess let's talk about the skill players a little bit.
I'm not out on those guys. I like Gore. I like Hilton. I actually like Jack Doyle still too. I believe that they can still. I don't like any of those guys this weekend because they're at Seattle, but I like them as a whole for the rest of the season. I think that they'll be okay.
What about you, Lucas?
I'm not a Doyle believer personally. I have a few other guys that I liked quite a bit more.
Doyle does not rule.
No, not in my world. No. I like the alcoholic, right?
Yeah.
Brissett has looked pretty good, and here's kind of a slight shift here. What do they do if when Andrew Luck comes back and Brissett is just killing it? What if that world happens? Do you just switch to Luck if Brissett has a winning record and they're looking good?
Well, it's Andrew Luck. I mean, he's their franchise quarterback. There's no question when he comes back, it's his job. I mean, there's no way Jacoby Brissett. I mean, other than he had a good fantasy game, but I mean, he rushed for 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's not he's not doing that every game, so that's insane. He's not RG3, and we saw what happened with the RG3 like quarterback. So I don't even know if we're going to be seeing Jacoby Brissett for too much longer if he continues to play like this. Albeit I do like, all of those skill position players. I'm not even, upset with starting Gore this week, especially the way Seattle's been looking. They've been letting guys run all over them. So even Gore, I think I'd start him. All right, I'm going to move on to the Saints. Got some news for the Saints. They activated Willie Snead, placed fullback John Kuhn on IR, suffered potentially serious bicep injury, sources said. So how excited are we about Willie Snead? Are you plugging him in right away? This is the real question. Mike?
Yes, I think he's ready to go. I think he's a very serviceable guy. I don't endorse any New Orleans Saint receivers, although Michael Thomas screwed me last week.
Yeah. What about you, Lucas? What are your feelings about Willie Snead? Can you plug in right away, or you're waiting and seeing?
It depends on who else I have. So there's a certain tier of player that I would play him over, but there's also a lot of options that I would wait and see personally. Brandon Coleman has caught the eye of Breeze a little bit, especially in the red zone. Breeze has been looking for him. Coleman's a big target, and he's fast, along with Fleener and Ted Ginn, and then obviously Michael Thomas. I mean, there's 5 different mouths to feed with 3 different serviceable running backs. So if it were me, I would prefer to wait if I have another decent option that I have more of a track record for this season for how they're doing, and I can kind of predict how that's going to be. I would go with them and wait a week to see. It's his first week back. They're in London. It's just another factor that makes this hard to predict. We haven't seen and or heard much about this. I do like Snead. I think I would wait a week just to see how things played out unless I really needed to put him in.
Yeah, and I agree with you here. I think it's still, they just have to shake a lot of things out. Coleman did catch that one target for a touchdown, so he could be a touchdown guy, maybe hurt Michael Thomas. But yeah, you're starting him, and yeah, maybe you sit Snead for this week and see how it shakes out, especially with those London games. All right, we're going to move on to got Matt Forte. He's got some turf toe injuries. And Rich Cimini believes the Jets will lean heavily on Bilal Powell if Forte is forced to miss week 4. So are you firing up your pals? That's what we want to know. Mike?
Yes, absolutely. I like Bilal Powell. I think he's actually the better running back of that backfield. He just doesn't get the full opportunity like Forte does.
Lucas?
I agree. I agree that you need to fire him up. I'm not sure that I necessarily agree that he's the better running back. I do like Forte, but in this instance, I think that he is going to get the workload, and there's no one really there behind him that I think is serviceable. So fire that boy up.
Yeah, I mean, what do they have? Was Elijah, the rookie running back they have there? But yeah, we've been waiting to be able to use Bilal Powell. He was drafted pretty high, and what a lot went 5th round in a lot of leagues.
Right.
So this is definitely the week you get to use him. But still, I'd still temper expectations, especially with the Jets just rebuilding, and I just think they want to see what their team looks like for next year. So I don't really know if you can depend on anyone to have a steady, you'll have your runs. You have your Jermaine Curses, a couple weeks, your other guys, but this is just tough, to decide a Jets player if you're going to be able to use them going forward. All right, Chargers Mike Williams, he remained limited Thursday practice, but they didn't rule him out. So he has a shot to come back. Season debut, the first round wide receiver, Mike Williams. You starting him if he does?
I'm not yet. I want to see what he has to bring to the table first. I think I can see stashing him though.
Yeah, I'd stash him as well. What about you, Lucas?
I definitely agree. If you have a spot and you have someone else that you're not using, put him in there. They do have a lot of mouths to feed.
Right.
Between the 2 tight ends, Keenan Allen is always going to see his targets. You have the other Williams and Tyrell, and then Travis Benjamin there's also. So a lot of different mouths to feed there. Stash him, see what he does. I would not play him this week.
Yeah, if you
even
got
if
an
he's
IR
active.
spot, he's an IR candidate that I've got Andrew Luck in my IR, and I think I'd probably continue to keep Luck there. But Mike Williams, he's a guy that I might want to move to that IR spot. Depending, especially the way the quarterbacks are looking. I mean, we're able to stream golf, and Hoyer was one of the top 5 quarterbacks last week.
Right.
I mean, so you just never know. I mean, that's why we preach, stream quarterbacks, and we'll get to that in the do's and don'ts. But why don't we move on to another Benjamin? Kelvin Benjamin is expected to play versus the Patriots, barring another setback. So he did come back in full. So he's back after, a lot of people were just down on just Panthers in total. They have no weapons. Now a weapon emerges from the darkness. So what are we feeling about Kelvin Benjamin? Is he a guy that you're targeting, or I'm very about Kelvin Benjamin. I don't have the strongest feelings about him. What about you, Lucas?
I'm a little indifferent. I think if you have him, you probably had to pay 4th,
Right.
5th round for him. You're going to use him. He's a big body. They don't have Olsen. I like their run game enough, but they're not going to be what they were 2 years ago. Cam is not going to be what he was 2 years ago. But with Olsen out, Kelvin's going to see his targets. Ed Dixon is nothing. I mean, he's good blocking, but he's nothing to worry about in terms of taking targets. I think Funchess gets a pretty good uptick, but go ahead and play Kelvin.
Hey, I can't agree with that. I don't. I don't think Kelvin Benjamin does very good. He just doesn't seem like that team has anything together. In fact, the only Carolina Panther I'm comfortable starting every week is Christian McCaffrey, and that is literally it.
Jonathan Stewart's getting 15 to 20 touches a game average through the first 3 games, so he's getting his, and he's not any different than he was in previous years. A couple years ago, he was going in the 3rd round. I don't know why you wouldn't use him. He's going to get some red zone looks if they move the ball, and I still think I think Kelvin's worth playing. I don't know who, if you drafted Kelvin in the 4th or 5th round, I don't know who you're going to have better to put there.
Right, that's a good point. And I forget about J Stu. I always forget about J Stu there for some reason. I don't know why, but I do.
Everyone did. Yep, everyone did going into this year.
Right.
They wanted McCaffrey early. Oh, we got the shiny new toy. We got the rookie. And I sat there and just picked up J Stu as like my 5th running back late.
All right. Oh, Sam Bradford, that guy's out. So how we feel about Diggs, especially after his performance with Keenan Allen? Some people are saying, they still don't trust him, even though, the week of 2 weeks ago, Mike and I was doing the Sunday show, Sunday Blitz, live, and I was saying how I found this, this gem of, a piece of news where Keenum will be fine and he will look good because he had games where he did it in the Rams, and they have better weapons here. And then Diggs had a 5-point game. So no one, really did. We did start him, but he didn't do too well. Then the next week we all sat him and he blew up. Right. So are you starting Thielen? Are you starting Diggs? With Bradford continuing to be out, is Keenum the real deal?
Yes.
I don't know that.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Lucas.
I'm going to say I don't know that Keenan's the real deal, but I do believe that Diggs is. Thielen looked really great as well. Keenum looks serviceable to me. Mike?
I don't think I would start Keenum. I don't think I'm there with him yet. But at the same time, I think Diggs looked good. I think Thielen looked good. He doesn't really have a connection with Rudolph, which is weird to me. You'd figure that would be the guy he would be seeking more than anybody else. But
right.
But yeah, start Diggs, start Thielen. I think it's crazy not to. And I was one of the people saying, nah, you probably shouldn't start those guys last week.
Yeah, you got the top 3 wide receivers in receiving yards right now is Antonio Brown, 354 yards, Thielen, 299, and Diggs, 293. So, yeah, you're starting these guys. That guy likes to throw down the field, so he's not a check down guy. So Rudolph, yes, he doesn't seem as safe as we all thought, because you're like, okay, well, he's not that great. Just throw to your tight end. No, he's airing it out. he continues to do this, albeit some of those games were with Bradford, well, one of them. So we'll see how they do in week 4. You're definitely starting them. All right, we're gonna move on. We've got some do's and don'ts. All right, do's and don'ts. It's the season is here, guys. It's week 4. We're a quarter into the season. All right, this is the time to either tweak some things. If you're 3-0, you're good. Even you're 2-1, you're good. You don't have to worry too much. But you're 1-2, I still don't worry. But you're 0-3, you're worrying, you're freaking out. We're gonna go over some do's and don'ts, and I'm gonna go with Lucas first. What's a good do or don't that would help fantasy players just be better in general? Just what should you do or don't do?
So kind of like you hit the nail on the head. We're a quarter way through the season. Right now, where you drafted your players do not matter. Do not be obsessed where your players were drafted. We
Right.
have a big enough sample size and we have enough information to have a good guess, a good educated prediction of how these players are going to perform, assuming that they stay healthy going forward. So when it comes to trades, just because you drafted someone in the first or second round, do not expect that you're going to get a first or second round player in return for that player if they are not performing. You need to, if you feel like they are going to continue to decrease in value, get what you are able to out of them now and move on. Do what is best for your team. Look at the value of players, listen to us, make your best predictions of what you think is going to happen, and move on to make your team better, to help your team win. Do not be obsessed with where you drafted your players.
All right, that was beautiful. I mean, I can't say it better. Too many of us, you know who you are. You feel a certain way right now because you might be that guy. So don't do it, man. Don't do it. Mine's going to go ahead and say, don't be stubborn. Kind of tailbacks a little bit off of, what Lucas is saying. If guy's not performing too well, you may have to cut bait. Don't dump him, obviously. You want to get the best value, but don't be stubborn. Go out there, do your due diligence. If someone's doing well, you had a guy that's not doing as well right now, you got to look at the production. So at some point, you got to just, shake it off. Don't be that stubborn guy that, that doesn't want to trade. You're 0-3. You're thinking, well, I'll just make some internal things, make a couple tweaks in there. If you look around at your league, and you look at the trophy, and you don't see your name on it, and you're one of those guys that are just stubborn, and you don't make trades or not good in season management, then yeah, you're not going to be on the trophy. So don't be stubborn. You got to make some tweaks. You got to, loosen up a little bit. This is fantasy. You paid your ticket already to enter the theme park. Just enjoy the rides. Make some trades, and don't be afraid to make even if you lose a trade, you think you're overpaid. But it's a guy you want. Go ahead and do it. Don't be stubborn. Make the changes. That's going to help your team.
I like it.
Yeah.
Mike, you got one?
I do. Don't panic. If you panic, you start dropping players or not dropping, I guess, but you start trading away players like Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. Right. I am just in shock this week with how many trades I've seen go down. I mean, people are sending me Julio Jones for this. You're losing all these top tier players that are really, really great football players, but they're just not producing at the moment. But I'm saying, don't panic. They're on great teams. They're on great opportunities. Nothing but good things is going to happen. So if they're sitting on somebody else's team, you're going to be really kicking yourself in the butt for not just sticking with your gut, knowing that this player is a great player, and going from there. And the dude that I think I'd pick is get up early. Get up really early on Wednesdays.
Right.
That's waiver wire Wednesday. I cannot tell you how many good players I've picked up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning because somebody panicked during the week. Oh my goodness sakes, this guy is not producing. I'm dropping him. I'm going to pick this guy up. Whoa. Okay. Another man's trash is another man's treasure, and I'm more than happy to set that alarm clock every Wednesday to make sure I get those players. I want those players on my team.
Yes, that's a great call. And this is, I think, all the serious, you got to get out of being a casual. It's nothing wrong with being a casual fantasy player. You're a casual, fantasy player. You listen to some podcasts, that well, if you listen to podcasts, you graduated a little bit, so you took that next step. Maybe the next step, go ahead and look at beat writers, and tag them on, go to Twitter. Twitter is great. So do follow Twitter, do go on Twitter and follow those beat writers for those cities. And you can go ahead and you can go on, look at Dave Richard and see who he's following, or you could see who I'm following on Twitter, and how does Hus get these people before everyone else? Well, I get their tweets as soon as they tweet them. So, as if they're on the sidelines and they're at the game, and sometimes, you're waiting for that Shefty report. That Shefty's good too. That, that Ian one's good too. But, you got to go out there, take the next step, and, get those beat, writers, follow those guys. They're a wealth of information, especially last minute on Sundays before the games.
Great. Yep.
And you got another one from the fantasy community. Sleeperbot Under Siege says, do play your studs. So we talked about this, how we sat Diggs, last week. I guess we didn't know how studly he was. Diggs, are you ever sitting Diggs again? Is he a stud? Can we start him the rest of the season?
I'm starting him the rest of the season, and I believe I played you in our league, and I think Diggs might have been in my lineup. I think he took me to a victory along with Larry Fitz.
Yeah, that stung a bit. That definitely stung a bit, especially when I sat him in another league, and I almost lost for it. So I had to worry and pray for that Monday night miracle, and my prayers were answered. Came through and snuck through a win with less than 100 points. So I wasn't very proud of it, but I'll take the win.
Hey, a win's a win.
A win is a win. All right, I got another one from Under Siege. It says, do your research. Now, this one may seem very basic, but you got a lot of guys that'll just go in, oh, this guy's good, let me play him, and not doing the research, not seeing who the cornerback is, not seeing, the Minnesota, they kind of have a good guy named Xavier Rhodes that shuts people down. So do your research, see who's where, on opposing teams, if it's in the dome, if it's the weather's well. These are all little things that you have to do to, cover all your bases, get as much information as possible so you make the best informed decision.
So, and I mean, a lot of people out there, I understand, don't have the time to do all the research, and that's where I think guys like us come in. That's where you want us. We do a lot of research. We live, eat, sleep, breathe this stuff. So if that doesn't work, if you can't do your own research, just find one that you find is the most accurate.
Yeah, that's perfectly, exactly. And if you don't have the time, you just listen to us, and we're going to give it to you all anyway. So you're good to go there.
All wrapped up with a bow on top.
All right, you guys find any other ones in the thread that stood out for you? There's some good ones in here.
There's so many good ones, like do's and don'ts.
Yeah, there's some really good do's and don'ts. I got one from Cliz211. It says, don't chase points. Too many times I see it, and I feel like I do it the most on DraftKings or, or FanDuel, or where I want to start the guy that went off last week. But chances are, they may not. I actually like doing the adverse. If a guy had a dud, I like the fact that he's going to bounce back. I think that he's going to bounce back, and I like to start a guy that had a bad week, so I wouldn't be too worried about it, like Macklin or Cooper or Crabtree. I'd start those guys this week with no worries at all. No worries.
So for anybody else, just go on our Sleeperbot app and get on our channel, the Sleeper Wire channel, and look up what are the top 10 fantasy do's and don'ts, and there's just tons. There's even a lot of good funny ones in there too, or a lot of, like one that really cracked me up is, don't move your team to Los Angeles. I'm like,
oh yeah,
kudos.
Or don't piss in the wind. Yeah, don't piss in the wind. I saw one that was not too kind to Matt Berry. Won't go on there. But there's another one that I like from Time to Win. He says, if you disagree with an expert, go with your gut. It's your team, and the glory feels much better when you make the choice yourself. And this is true. For my first year playing fantasy football, I took everything Matthew Berry said was gospel. And people are wrong sometimes. Matthew Berry is a very knowledgeable guy. He's really good. He's the godfather in this business for a reason, but we don't always get it right. And then we hammer the guys when we get a wrong call, So yeah, you trust your gut. I didn't start becoming a better fantasy player until I started to trust my gut and just, do my research, trust my gut. If I feel good about a guy, and like, as this guy says, you just feel so much better when, you trusted your gut and they did well. Now that doesn't mean go ahead and be stubborn and just don't listen to people, don't trust your gut to a certain extent. Still do your research.
There's a happy medium, and if all of us were right more than we were wrong, we'd all be doing this from our gold-plated yachts in the middle of the ocean somewhere because we're all DFS millionaires.
Right.
Yes, this is true. As I'm sitting on my yacht from this podcast, right? I wish. You guys got any more before we move on to the week review? See any other good ones?
I think we've hit them.
Yeah, and guys, again, if we didn't pick out one of yours on the app, thanks for submitting your replies to this question. And yeah, there's a bunch of good ones on there. So go ahead and go into the channel on Sleeperbot and go ahead and read them. There's a bunch of good ones. All right, we're just gonna jump right into the Redskins and Chiefs. Who we're starting? Who we're sitting?
You gotta start Kareem Hunt. You're starting Hill. The guys in question, like Alex Smith. I don't know that I like Alex Smith this week very much. I don't think I'm very high on him. Travis Kelce. I think he'll actually have a pretty decent matchup this week. He could probably find the end zone. And that's about it that I'm liking on the Kansas City side.
Lucas?
I agree. Obviously, you got to start Hunt. I think Kelce has started slow before. He'll come through for you. Him and Alex Smith just need to click. I think Alex Smith will have an okay game. I don't think it'll be great. I don't see this being a super high-scoring affair. I don't see the Redskins putting up the points that they just did to the Raiders this past weekend. From the Skins side, we'll see if Rob Kelly ends up playing or not. I think that Chris Thompson is going to be worth a play. I assume that they're going to be playing from behind, and even when they're not, he seems to be getting the work right now. So ride the wave is what I would say with him. I'm a little unsure about the wide receivers for the Redskins right now. I'm waiting for that big game that everyone's been expecting for Terrell Pryor. I'm waiting for that great awakening, and maybe this is the right time to do it against Kansas City. I'm not calling for it. I'm not predicting that that's going to happen, but he has to get it going sometime.
Yeah, he definitely needs a get-right game, but I don't know.
Yeah, I just want to see that guy bounce back so bad. I mean, I just want to see him start caring about football again. Just doesn't seem to be in it.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's tough. I mean, they have so many moving pieces from last year. I feel it's just a completely different offense. They had now that Chris Thompson is their top back. Although I love Chris Thompson, he's their top back. He's probably their best receiver as well. Crowder, something just isn't right about him still. Hip, Josh Doxson's coming back from, his sore muscles. He might be a factor. I don't know. I'd stay away from the receivers. I like the, Hunt, obviously, Hill, Kelce. You're starting these guys. You're starting Chiefs DST because the Redskins they haven't put it together yet. They haven't put together a solid performance. And obviously, you're going to take a look for Jordan Reed. Vernon Davis could be a nice start. Jordan Reed misses another game.
Absolutely.
All right, Colts at Seahawks. Who we starting? Who we setting, guys? Lucas.
Okay, let's start with the Colts here. Keep banging out Ty. Frank Gore, I think that he should be able to run. Seahawks are letting everyone run. We just saw DeMarco Murray have a pretty good game against them with even nursing a hammy. Granted, Henry was there helping wear down that defense. But for right now, they look like they can be run on. So go ahead and put Gore out there. Um, maybe in the flex or the RB2 spot. I don't expect a huge game, but I'm expecting 60 or 70 yards and possibly a touchdown. So that can end up being a pretty good game. From the Seahawks side, I love Chris Carson. This guy, he's looking good. I don't
Really good.
foresee any other running back really challenging him on that team. We know they're all known quantities behind him. They're going to give him the rock. Baldwin, we're kind of monitoring his little issue that he has going on right now. If he is unable to go, I think that Paul Richardson is a good play, and Tyler Lockett as well. Obviously,
Okay.
Jimmy Graham. I think that most players on Seattle's offense are a go.
Yeah, they're safer. I mean, they're playing the Colts. They're at home. So yeah, this is a game you like. Russell Wilson, he did have that bounce back for you last week, as I thought he might, as I hoped for. And yeah, he did have that bounce back. And this is, he starts off a little slow. So yeah, you're starting Russell Wilson, high confidence in these guys. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Completely agree 100% with both of you on every single spectrum. I'm a little less high on the Indianapolis offense. I think I'm probably going to be sitting T.Y. Hilton this week. I don't like any passing attack in Seattle. It just never seems to work out for me. And I agree completely. They have been allowing a lot of running. I think Frank Gore might actually be somewhat serviceable, but I'm not as high on him, obviously, as you guys are. I don't think he has just a huge game. I think he could probably put up like maybe a 3 to 7, somewhere in that window for you. And I mean, sometimes that's enough. Just that's serviceable, right? So yeah, I believe that the whole team actually kind of takes a step back just because they're in Seattle, and that place is just such a tough place to play.
Yeah, you guys got a sleeper from this game? Anybody think that might, dart throw?
I like, especially if Baldwin sits, I really like Paul Richardson this week.
Lucas?
Dart throw, I'm going to say Marlon Mack.
Ooh,
Yeah.
not bad.
I like it.
If he's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, he had that's something to watch for sure.
I'm gonna, they've been ran on. We've seen it, and he's talented. So if he's able to get out there and be on the field, Frank Gore wears him out a little bit. He comes in with fresh legs, and we see a 50-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, and I think you still start Ty. I know you don't really feel that high on him, Mike, but who are you sitting him for? Like who would I just wanted to go back for him because you said sit Ty, but who would you sit him for? I guess so. Let's do I guess Ty or
Kelvin
Tate.
Benjamin.
Oh, T.Y.
Yeah,
Hilton.
Benjamin. That's a good one.
Yeah, T.Y. Hilton
All right.
for sure.
So you're not that down on him.
No, but I also really don't like Kelvin Benjamin.
Ty or Garcon.
Oh, T.Y. Again, I don't think that answer will ever be Garcon.
Okay, Ty or Macklin.
Seeing it's got to be T.Y. again, I'm having a tough time trusting Macklin right now. That guy gets hurt like in the first few plays of every game, and then he's just burning me, man.
Okay, so I mean, if you got Ty, if you have a better option, right now he's still a number 2 receiver. If
Low end wide receiver too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess I kind of forget that I drafted really wide receiver heavy, and I just nailed it on receiver. So Ty is definitely not on the list of my best. So
no, yeah, I agree with that. But
I'm starting people like Jordy Nelson over him, and I'm starting people.
Well, yeah.
Obvious ones. So I get it.
Obvious wide receiver ones. Yeah, but
yeah,
I mean,
no.
It's
and
like
I've got
what?
like 3 of them on my team. That's why I'm kind of like, I don't think I'll start Hilton because I'm not starting him in my leagues. But yeah, no. If you bring up a good point, I think if you have him on your team, he's probably got to start him.
Okay, Ty or Dez?
Ty again, yeah.
That's a good one.
You guys win.
That's a good one. Yeah, exactly. It's a good one. So you're starting Ty. He was number 4 in the league last year. Yeah, it was last year, but guess what? He's still not top 5 in receiving yards this year. With his slow start, granted, he's got Reset and but yeah, you have to start Ty. He's probably the safest guy. I want to say out of this I don't want to, maybe not this whole game, but he's safe. I don't see a scenario where you're sitting T.Y. Hilton. I just traded Hilton and C.J. Anderson, and filler like Smallwood for Zeke and Alfred Morris.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Oh,
But
nice.
I'm stacked like Mike, in one of my leagues where I've got AJ, Julio, Keenan, and Diggs. So,
Wow.
yeah,
So
I was able to do it.
Yeah, I took advantage of a situation this last week before week 3. All of the sports analysts, everyone was saying DeMarco Murray was done, that go pay whatever you need to get Henry because it's going to be too late otherwise. And this guy was freaking out. He had Murray on his bench, traded him Macklin and Jaquiz Rogers.
Oh my
And
God.
then Murray popped off. So now my 12-man team has Todd Gurley, McCoy, Murray, and Crowell's kind of been a disappointment. But
Yeah. But yeah, he at this point he's a guy that's just filling your, when the bye weeks come up at this point.
right. And
So that's what I say about Crowell. Don't dump Crowell either. He's
had a hard schedule so far. It's been a fairly difficult schedule, and they haven't ran the ball a lot. His touch per game last year, he was over 5 yards per carry. He was at like 5.8 or something crazy like that. So he's still that guy. He hasn't lost a step at all. They're figuring things out with DeShone Kizer. He's probably a pretty good buy low candidate if you can just trade some run of the mill wide receiver. Maybe, if you can like throw Rashard Matthews at him, or I don't know, another middle range wide receiver that's been performing okay so far. I'd be happy to trade that away and receive Crowell to have on your bench and wait and see what he does.
How
Yeah,
dare
that's a great
you
point.
call Rashard Matthews a run-of-the-mill receiver in front of Hus?
I mean, it's Tennessee. They're not a throwing team, and there's a lot of wide receivers there. So
Right, this is true. All right, we
I
got
like Rashard Matthews. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, we love him.
We
love him.
Lucas.
I think he's elite, but
Oh.
I just think that he doesn't get the opportunity to be, but he really is. I think he's just phenomenal.
Me
I
and
love
Hus might
Rashard
be
Matthews.
the 2 highest guys in the fantasy world on
Yeah.
Rashard Matthews too.
Right.
I should have
think that's
disclaimed
for
that
sure.
at first.
that's
Yeah.
fair. I walked into that one. I make no apologies, but I walked into that one.
All right, we're gonna move on. We got Raiders at Broncos. Who are we starting? We're gonna start with Mike, since this is the team that you love to hate on, since they're your team.
Okay,
Rightfully
so
so.
this is my contrarian call of the week. Everybody always says that the Raiders go to Denver and they're terrible. I think the Raiders come and handle business, and I hate to say it
Mm,
because I am such a Broncos fan, and they're really actually looking fairly decent this year. I just do not see them winning this divisional matchup. I don't think that Trevor Siemian will be able to figure out how to calculate what Mac's doing the whole entire time, because Khalil Mack is just such a beast on
Yeah.
that team, and he's starting to wake up. I don't know. I really kind of feel like starting Carr in my DFS this week because he'll be so low owned that I think a guy could
Right.
actually get cash pretty easy by just that one play right there. And I think it'll be a good day for Crabtree as well.
Yeah, I mean, keep a look for Crabtree. I know he's a little banged up right now. If he misses any time, Seth Roberts will be a nice little dart throw. All that guy does is
Absolutely.
just two receptions for 8 yards and a touchdown or 2. So that's all he does. Last year he caught 5 touchdowns, and if Crabtree is missing time, that's Crabtree is the touchdown guy. I like Crabtree, and I don't mind Carr, especially in the DFS. But yeah, no one's really gonna start Carr. So you're benching Simeon. What about C.J. Anderson? You starting C.J.?
Yeah, I think he had a bad week last week. I don't trust this guy. I've made that very apparent. I've watched him do this year after year where he starts really hot. You play him about 3 weeks in a row going, he's going to do this again, and he doesn't do it again, and then he ends up on your bench, or then he ends up on the waiver wire, or he ends up in a trade box. And then at about week 13 or 14, he has another great game, and people talk about how good C.J. Anderson.
Lucas?
Play C.J. Anderson. I'm someone who very much loves to go after the contrarian picks.
Mhm.
This is not one of those. This is not one of those times that I'm going to be going after the contrarian picks in terms of the quarterback. Derek Carr is going to ride the bench. I picked up Tyrod Taylor to play over him this week.
I would, yeah.
Trevor Siemian is a go. Derek Carr has never scored over 18 fantasy points against the Broncos. So I don't think that is going to happen this season either with the pass rush. I do think that they're going to come out frustrated from this last Redskins game. I don't think that was an accurate reflection or representation of the ability of those two teams. The Redskins are not better than Oakland, even though it's hard for me to really make that claim after what we just saw.
Right.
Before that game, Oakland was kind of my dark horse to go to the Super Bowl. It's hard for me to say that now after watching them play. I do think that they're going to get it back on track. I don't know that it's going to be this week. I think it'll be a great game. I think that Cooper is very frustrating, having 6 drops so far.
Yeah.
I own him. I am playing him. I am not benching him.
No, you can't.
Crabtree is usually a shoe-in for a touchdown, regardless of who they're playing. So I think that he has a pretty safe floor. Marshawn Lynch, I think he comes out and he gets pretty angry. I think that he's going to have a decent game. One player that I would say that if you're looking at your team right now and you're trying to decide who your flex play is going to be and you're looking through your bench and you're saying, man, I don't really know. None of these guys are really jumping out. They all kind of look the same. If you got that boy Jamal Charles sitting on your bench, go ahead and plug him in.
He looked good.
Plug him in. CJ Anderson's going to be just fine as well. Charles is going to get 12 touches. He's going to average 6 yards a carry, and he's going to have one big run. And you're going to be happy that you put him in. He's not going to be someone that every single week that you're just going to throw him in as an RB2 or something. This is a great week to put him in your flex and grab the points.
Coming for that Prophet title. Calling it.
Calling it.
See, and I have no arguments for anything that you said. That's why I started my thing out with saying this is completely contrarian because nobody else is thinking this right now. But
Right.
I've been a Broncos fan too long. That's the one thing I can land on there.
You're sore.
I'm very sore, very red. I'll remember walking into Buffalo Wild Wings, Hus, and going, it was Seattle. And I go, man, this really has a San Francisco vibe, doesn't it? You know, from 1989. And what happened?
Oh, man.
What happened? Ever since that day, I trust my Bronco gut.
Yeah,
you
you
go.
have to. You have to. It's your defense mechanism.
Exactly.
Porcupines have spikes, and you've got that.
I've got my love hatred.
You've got whatever that is. Your nervousness.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, we got to move on. Niners at Cards. Man, this is a tough one, especially with, Hyde. He's back. He came back in that game after that scare. I don't know. This Garcon, you had Marquise Goodwin. You got the backfield, the Cardinals. It's a lot of question marks out here. So help me out, Lucas. Who are we starting? Who are we sitting on this one?
You're going to start nobody from San Francisco. You're benching everybody. Maybe not Hyde if you don't have better options.
Right.
If you have similar options in your mind, this guy or this guy, and Hyde is similar to you as another guy, sit him. I think his hip is going to. He left that game. And hips. If you ever had a little hip tweak or anything, those are kind of painful. They're hard to cut. I think it's going to bother him. I don't think he's going to be full speed. And I think Arizona is pissed off after losing at home to the Cowboys in that fashion that they did. And I think the Arizona defense is pretty decent. So Garcon's going to do nothing. Peterson's going to eat him alive. And Hyde is going to have trouble. I think he's going to get hit a couple of times. Don't play any of them. Larry Fitz is the man. We saw that San Francisco can have points put up on them. I don't want to play any of these running backs. I don't like Chris Johnson. I want to see something out of him. Right now, I just don't believe that he can do it. If you need someone in a PPR league, maybe a flex option, you're hurting for whatever reason, go ahead and throw Andre Ellington in the flex. He might have an okay, at least a serviceable game. I feel like he might Just kind of a high floor. Don't expect a lot, but a high floor.
Mike?
I kind of agree to an extent, but I think that Arizona might just be bad enough to where we could have another St. Louis San Francisco shootout here. I mean, they really have not looked good to me this year. They don't look like they have anything going. Larry Fitzgerald looked good the other night. Carson Palmer looked okay, but he doesn't seem like he's fully confident in what's going on in that situation. It just kind of seems like he's got a confused deer in the headlight look every time he gets that snap. And I don't think they know what's going on in that backfield yet. And I don't know. I think San Francisco might have a fairly decent defense, but they are scoreable upon, if that makes any sense. I mean, they can stop you from doing what you want to do, but they can't stop you from winning a football game. So I don't know. I can see this actually being quite a shootout. I could see starting quite a few players in this.
So Shanahan, you're telling me Shanahan really turned this team into the Falcons of last year?
No, I'm not going that far yet. I'm just saying that maybe Arizona's bad enough that they can look like the Falcons this weekend.
So you're starting pretty much everyone on the Niners side.
I just kind of have this feeling.
Other
I don't
than
know
like
if I
Marquise
have this
Goodwin.
feeling enough to where I want to start too many players. I think I'm fine starting Carlos Hyde. I don't really.
Yeah, no, I'd start him, but yeah, they do. I think he's RB2 this week.
And I mean, you still have Fitz. I think you're starting Fitz. I don't really feel like I'm going to start J.J. Nelson this weekend. I want to see what he does again.
I think Nelson bounces back.
And you can see it happening. I mean, it definitely would make sense that he has a bounce back week this week. But I just don't know that I'm starting too many players. Like I said, I can just see this being a shootout. I don't know if I'm confident enough to put a lot of players in.
Who'd be your dart throw of this game?
It'd have to be Garcon. He can get open, he can get distance, and I don't like saying
Lucas?
that.
Dart throw for me is going to be Jerron Brown.
That's a good one. He gets the targets. And I'm going to roll with J.J. Nelson. I think he bounces back. He almost had that catch, but his foot was – they ruled it, what they ruled it. And as we all know, there has to be so much proof. But he would have had some points. He wouldn't have had that dud. I think you fire up Nelson. All right. We're going to move on to the Eagles at Chargers. Who are we starting? Who are we sitting? Mike.
Chargers, I don't. They're really looking bad too. There's a lot of teams out there that are just not sparking for me, and I think the Eagles can really take advantage of the Chargers this weekend. I like Carson Wentz. I like Zach Ertz. I don't know. I think I like Aguilar again this week. I know I was wrong about him last week, but I can see him having a pretty decent week.
Yeah, I can see.
As far as do we know if Melvin Gordon's going to be okay? I know they said it's just a bruised knee, but just a bruised knee, man, those things hurt. I've had that before. And so I don't know. I don't know that I'm really happy. I'm starting Keenan Allen, of course, because this might be the day he finally goes off and shows us like, oh yeah, guess what, guys? I'm still Keenan Allen.
What about Travis Benjamin? You starting Travis Benjamin?
I'm not. I like that Philadelphia secondary enough to where I don't think I would.
Lucas, how do you feel about these guys starting, sitting? We starting Smallwood, firing up Smallwood. You hype about him?
Let me skip over that for a second and just say, Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen, baby. He is going to have a game. If you have him in PPR, look for 25 points. Look for 25 points out of Keenan Allen. He is going to have a huge week. I love Philadelphia as a team. I'm a Cowboys fan, so when I say that, I don't mean like I love Philadelphia. What I mean is I love watching their offense. They have just looked on to me so far this year. With that being said, I feel like this is their off game. I think that it's one of my contrarian picks this week. Chargers defense. I think Chargers defense is a sleepy pick this week.
Wow.
Yep.
I like it.
I think that Ertz has a fine game because he is elite. That man is elite. I hope you have him in your leagues. Yeah. He is going to finish as a top 3 tight end this year, assuming that he stays healthy. So go ahead and run him. Ertz is the only person I want to play for the Eagles. I know that's tough to say. I picked up Smallwood in 2 of my leagues. I'm happy to have him. I want to wait and see how all this plays out.
Right.
For the Chargers, like I said, Keenan Allen, love it. Maybe this is the game that Hunter Henry decides to play football again. Don't really know. Don't drop him, guys.
No.
Don't drop Hunter Henry.
Yeah.
Melvin Gordon, assuming he's healthy, go ahead and play that guy. I think Philly's defense is looking a little bit beat up right now, so I think that they're just going to move the ball. I don't know that Travis Benjamin's going to have a good week. I don't have a great feeling. I'm sitting here kind of thinking Keenan's going to have a great week. Gates will probably steal a touchdown, and I think Tyrell Williams has a big week. I think Tyrell Williams is my dart throw here.
Yeah, Tyrell's been kind of quiet. Travis Benjamin had that game last year. He caught 5 balls to 105 yards on 8 targets. So he's that stretcher. Tyrell was that last year. And Keenan, they just move Keenan around so they can put him in the slot. They can have him stretch. So I think this is good, and this is why, you want to stash Mike Williams, but at the same time, this is a lot of mouths to feed in this offense. And then they still have Dontrell Inman too, who they're not really playing right now. But yeah, they finally have healthy wide receivers. But yeah, they just give it up to wide receivers. Philly, at least so far. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Expect about 25 points at least from Keenan Allen. I think he goes off. And my dart throw would be I think Smallwood is going to have a fairly good game.
Okay. I like it. I do like it.
I do like Smallwood.
Okay.
Think you could flex him. I wouldn't say start him over, I wouldn't start him over a guy that's been a little bit more steadier for me. But if you got guys like Crowell, you're worried about Crowell, I think I'd start Smallwood over Crowell this week.
I don't know. That's tough for me. That's tough for me, but I could see it.
I could do it without even blinking, and I think you should drop Hunter Henry.
No, I wouldn't drop
something.
Hunter Henry. Yeah, that is something, especially with Gates scoring that touchdown, and he doesn't really need to be used. But I do understand Phillip Rivers does like to use him, so I guess maybe we won't see Hunter Henry as much as we'd like. But I don't think I could drop him though. That's bold. It's bold. All right, Giants and Buccaneers. Maybe got some bold picks here. You got some bold picks for me, Mike? Dirty.
Giants and Bucks. I have a feeling that this is going to be a little shootout. I think this is going to be about a 48, 50-point scoring game. I think Odell goes off again. I think he just has a day. He's pretty much the only target that gets thrown to on that team until then. You got Evan Ingram and then Sterling Shepard. Man, he's been looking really good too. I think Tampa Bay looks a little bit better. I think they got to a slow start, and I think a lot of that's attributed to having that week off and kind of changing up their whole entire schedule. But I think they kind of start putting it back together. Like I said, I think this is going to be a close game, but I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. You're starting Evans. I don't really feel good about Jacquizz Rodgers this week. I don't think I'm going to be putting him on any of my lineups. I think I'd take even a flyer. I think my dart throw on this one, man, it would have to be Darkwa. And I know I hate to say it, but I think he might actually pull it together, and they might start going with one running back, which makes me wrong.
Well, they have to do something. They have to do something different. They said they were going to try to do something different last week. They did not. But I mean, a lot of that maybe just, it got out of, hand. It was a lot closer than it, they maybe were planning it to be. And then, that kicker, that nailed that kick and just broke a lot of people's hearts, which doesn't really have anything to do with anything, but, it kind of hurt my heart as a Giants fan. But, Sterling Shepard, you're starting him. He's been on fire, 22 targets already, 16 reception. Guy's got 200 yards already. He's a guy that I really liked coming into the season, especially with Marshall being that guy that's kind of a decoy. Even though he's not a decoy, they'll start to use him more and more as the season progresses. But it's one that, especially that offense, it takes a while to learn it, and it's that offense. I know that West Coast. I don't know. It seems like it's really complicated. and it takes guys a while to learn it. So I really like Shepard here. My dart throw would I'm gonna say Darkwa as well. I like Darkwa. I'm not saying start him, but start him in a DFS. Definitely
Right.
start him in a DFS. You need your dart throws of DFS if you're gonna cash. You can't just start nothing but the stars. You're not gonna you're not gonna win anything. It
Well,
usually
you'll be
doesn't
able to
work out that way.
afford some way better players if you pick up people like Orleans Darkwa.
That as well too. All right. Anything else from this game? You guys got? I like Deshaun Jackson the way he started. He's a little bit of a surprise for me. I didn't think too much about him coming into the season.
I did. I thought he was going to have about the season that he was having so far. I think he's kind of the missing yin to Mike Evans Yang. I mean, he's fast. He can get down the field quick, and that'll start taking a lot of pressure off of Mike Evans. I think you can really see that passing game start to open up, especially once Doug Martin comes in there and starts running that backfield. I think Tampa Bay is going to be dangerous.
We can't wait for Doug Martin. Come back, Dougie.
One more week, buddy.
One more week. All right, Bills or Falcons? Got Bills. We got some Falcons. Obviously, you're starting Matt Ryan. The guy's on the road to be a top 5 quarterback again. It doesn't matter if the coordinator's there. When you get older, you get better. It seems like, right? At least in football. You get
At
older.
least in the quarterback position, that's for sure.
You get wiser. You
Take less
play
hits.
with chips on your shoulders. He's got the biggest chip on his shoulder, does he not? I mean, they had that game locked and loaded in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And I don't know. He's on fire. I love Matt Ryan. If I can get him, I think you still can get him. If you can get him, I would say target him. Obviously, you're starting Freeman. Who else are we starting, guys? Lucas?
Ooh, obviously you got to start Julio Jones. Julio. And a stat that I heard today, Austin Hooper. So although he's not someone that I've been running out to pick up, I don't own him in a single league. I'm not one of the guys that saw what he did week 1 and was like, oh, I got to go get him. No.
2 catches.
But he is on the field for like 90% of the snaps. But he has no targets. And he's not a fast guy, but he's able to create separation because he's a beast. Why aren't they throwing the ball to this guy more? I know why. It's because they have so many other options.
Yeah. I mean, look at Taylor Gabriel outscoring Julio Jones.
Isn't that? Yeah, but I don't put any. I don't.
Right.
Put
No, I don't.
Whatsoever. Right.
I wonder how long we're going to keep saying that. Yeah, it's Julio. It's okay. I'll keep putting up with 4 points.
Well, he's going to have a 300-yard game with 3 touchdowns, he usually does, and he'll be back up to the number 2 wide receiver spot in 1 game, and that's just what Julio does.
Yeah, so you're going to sit him. Yeah. You're going to sit him that week where he blows up. You're going to want to blow your brains out.
That's
not going to be a fun
day.
day.
Why you never sit your studs. Go back to the don'ts.
Yeah. LaShawn McCoy. Everyone's scared. Everyone's scared about LaShawn McCoy. What's happening to him? You're going to see this week is going to be his coming out party. He is going to put up some numbers. He's going to have 80 yards rushing and 70 yards through the air with at least 1 touchdown.
Oof,
nice.
You got me all pumped up. I'm thinking the same thing, though, too.
Yeah, LaShawn McCoy, baby. He's coming out.
This is why we drafted him in the 1st round.
Yeah, if someone's worried, if the McCoy owner is worried right now, go get him. Go get him right now. Go get LaShawn McCoy. I'm telling you, I went and got DeMarco Murray last week before what just happened. Go get LaShawn McCoy. He's my buy low. Him and Amari Cooper. Go buy low.
You got a dart?
It's not really not much of a dart, but I think he's a good play this week is Clay. Go ahead, roll Clay. And actually Tyrod Taylor. My dart's going to be Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, he's a great dart. I think he is a dart. A lot of people aren't starting him. A lot of people were just kind of really down on him, especially he doesn't have much pieces of his offense, but he never really did. So I mean, this is like last year, and he still finished good. What you got any thoughts about this, Mike? Anybody you're starting or sitting in this one? Anyone you have a little bit more questions mark, and then your dart throw.
I like Freeman. I think that's he's just got to go off eventually, right? He's got to get in the touchdown. Just hasn't seemed to do it yet. And then I agree with Clay. I really like putting Roland Clay out there this week. I think he's going to be great. And I actually can't argue with Tyrod Taylor. I've suggested putting him over Carr, although I feel contrarian. I still give advice. So you got to give the people the right advice, and that's the right advice. Right?
In your dart throw, you got one?
My dart throw is going to be Zay Jones again, although, gosh dang it, that guy always burns me. But I feel like Zay Jones, I mean, he's due, right? Who else does he throw to besides Clay? He's been hitting Sammy Watkins for so long. His arm's got to be itching to do that again.
He's got to do something. And I'm going to say Mohamed Sanu, the guy's been getting the targets.
Yeah.
And maybe you've been already thinking you should have started him. The guy's just falling into a territory where you have to start him based off of his usage. They're using him a lot. They're targeting him a lot. You got to use him.
Absolutely.
All right, Bengals at the Browns. This is a game that doesn't look too good, especially on the Brown side, I guess. Who are we starting? Who are we sitting on this one? Not the most exciting matchup.
Yeah, I'm avoiding most of the Browns. I don't think that they're going to be able to do much. I mean, it's at home. They have potential chance, but that Cincinnati defense has actually been pretty decent, although they're both 0-3, so there's really nothing too decent coming out of this. I'm thinking A.J. Green, and that's about it. And I think my dart throw would be Duke Johnson because he actually could be decent. They're going to be playing from behind and having to throw a lot.
Lucas?
Give me some Joe Mixon.
Mixon.
I love this guy.
Yes.
He is going to tear it up.
Yes.
New OC. Y'all are going to see something. Play AJ Green.
Yes.
But Joe Mixon. He is going to go off. Browns, not really excited about anyone. I'm still waiting for Isaiah Crowell to do something. Maybe this is the week that it happens. These teams always play each other tough, regardless if one team is undefeated and the other team has not even smelled anything close to a victory that season. They always seem to play each other tough. So my dart throw is going to be Isaiah Crowell this week, and I don't really want to touch anyone else. Maybe Britt.
That's not
Yeah, that's not a bad. I think Gio still gets used, even though I love Mixon too. Mixon. They're gonna mix him in. I like Gio though as well. I think they're gonna use him. I think you can use him as a flex. Very much in that Duke Johnson mold. Only Mixon is gonna be good, and Crowell is not gonna be good. Yeah. So anything else from this game?
No. Nope.
That's about it.
Yeah, it's going to be a sad game to watch.
All right. And watch now. That'll be the most exciting game of the week.
Could be. Yeah. I said the same thing about St. Louis, or not St. Louis, but Los Angeles and San Francisco.
All right. You got Steelers at Ravens. We got some good ones in here, right? Who we starting? What we saying?
So I have a theory on this game, and that's when Pittsburgh goes to Baltimore, I don't even usually play Antonio Brown. And I know that's crazy. You never bench Antonio. You never bench Le'Veon Bell. Well, I did that last year, and you know what? It happened. It got me the first seed in the playoffs because I won that week. But it was also Baltimore when it was cold. So there's a big difference there.
Right.
It's
That's
going
true.
to be nicer weather. Pittsburgh just got beat in a tough one, but Baltimore just got embarrassed. So I don't know. An angry Baltimore at home, I just do not like playing people against angry Baltimore at home.
I agree, man. This is division rival. I think they're going to rebound.
I think, this is one that's a tough one to predict. This is always a tough game to predict. Generally, they're low scoring between these two teams. Is my memory. I don't want to play Big Ben this week. I really don't.
I'm sending him. Yeah.
And I don't really want to play Flacco either. I think this is going to be a snoozer.
A fantasy wasteland. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 6-3.
I'm just. I'm not comfortable.
Here in a PPR league.
Yeah, in a
You
PPR,
know,
I'm starting Antonio Brown, but in standard, honest to God, I'd be sitting him and Le'Veon Bell. I just don't see touchdowns happening.
So who's the dart thrower in this game since it's a fantasy wasteland?
Justin Tucker.
And I'm gonna go with Alex Collins again for the second week in a row.
For the
Okay.
record, who did I say was going to be the biggest scoring Bronco last week?
I think you hit the nail on the head with
I said McManus,
McManus.
did I not? And who was the best scoring Bronco last week? It was McManus.
Yeah, well, I think Sanders eventually edged him out, but yeah, McManus was really. I think
He got
if
a
he wasn't
touchdown,
one,
but
he was
actually
two.
McManus got more points.
Jesus, that's terrible when you kicker is leading the scores.
Yes.
I
All
think
right.
if you're taking a dart,
Yep.
you could do worse than Ben Watson.
Yeah, I like Ben Watson as well. I usually try to put out 3 sleepers every Saturday or so. Ben Watson was one of mine 2 Saturdays ago, and Jokel and Stills was last week. So they both scored last week. They didn't have the most exciting game, but at least they scored. So that that was good for you. I did go with Dirty Jobs, Deion Lewis though. It made me look a little bit bad out there. It made me
sorry.
look bad in the streets.
I'm sorry,
That's
Goose. I'm
Question.
sorry.
I'm doing too many shows with this guy. He's rubbing off on me.
I decided this morning that I might not be on board with Deion Lewis anymore.
You're bailing the Deion chip. And now he goes off. Now is the week he goes off.
That's what I was also going to say. And Belichick heard me, so start him.
Right, exactly.
But don't start him. I'm just kidding.
No, don't do that. All right, Jaguars at Jets. Another, who are we starting? You're going to start all your Jags, right? Bortles is a top, 3 quarterback now, right? Right?
Is this
Right?
in London?
Ugh.
After that London game?
Is this
No,
in
that-
London?
it's-
Because if it's
the-
in
this-
London, I will start Bortles every time. If it's not in
And Alan
London,
Hearns is Mr. London. All he does is cut touchdowns in London.
Yeah.
Oh,
I like
Bilal Powell,
I like below Powell.
Powell. Yeah, I like Powell.
ASJ.
No, I don't know. I'm not excited about him. Man, you're starting Fournette.
Right.
You're starting Powell. You're starting Jacksonville's defense.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm going to take a dart throw with Robbie Anderson. I think Robbie Anderson
Yeah,
could be a
I like
sneaky
that.
tournament DFS play.
I like that.
And that's about it for me.
Yeah, I like it. I like that a lot. I like Robbie Anderson as the dart throw too. I think one thing is don't get all excited about Mercedes Lewis. That guy.
Oh,
Right.
That was
right.
Luke.
I'd
I could understand I could understand if you wanted to pick him up, but I saw he went in a fab league that I'm in for like $20.
Wow.
And I was just like, what are you doing, dude? Like the guy hasn't done that in years. This is not a rookie, running, a tight end or something, or is his second or third year in the league. Mercedes has been in the league a while, and he's just hasn't been the guy. I mean, he looked good, pulling out the hat trick, but yeah, I don't think he's going to be startable. You have to wait and see. And even then, I don't know if I'll ever be comfortable starting him, unfortunately. Even if he is a really good tight end the rest of the season, it'd be a while before I buy in. It'd be that whole Barnage effect for me, which for Lucas was buying in hard on Barnage, so he loved him.
Oh, I love Gary Barnage. I picked up Gary Barnage in a couple of leagues this year when he was talking to a couple teams. I was like, ooh, Gary Barnage is back. I'm
Gary
picking him
Barnage.
up.
Bring the barn door.
Yes.
Barnkowski.
The barnyard dog.
1 year wonder.
Yeah. Yep. He was James Blunt. That's what he was. James
Yeah,
Blunt.
exactly.
Titans and Texans. Who are we starting in this one?
I'm starting Murray. I'm starting Delaney Walker. I'm gonna go with you guys and throw in Rashard Matthews. I guess you got to start him.
Yes,
A new believer.
Right, we converted one.
Yes.
I'm starting Hopkins.
Yes. Yep.
I hear Will Fuller's coming back. I'm gonna be excited excited whenever he starts playing. And my dart throw is gonna be Donta Foreman.
That's a good one. It's a good one. It's one I've been praying that Donta Foreman doesn't do well, especially since we were at a podcast at Jake Seeley on, and he was really high on Donta Foreman, and he thinks Lamar Miller's terrible. And I had to defend my boy Lamar.
I'm,
You know,
unfortunately, I usually agree with you, but
you
this
agree
is
with
not.
Jake?
Yeah, I don't like Miller. I think he looks so bad. I liked him. I was high on him going into last year, and he let me down. And I try not to let recency bias be a thing,
Yeah.
but we're a quarter of the way through the season, and he's not showing me why I'm wrong. So
Yes, I love it. Somebody else that hates Lamar Miller on the Sleeper Wire
Yeah.
crew. Thank
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. And I
yeah,
think
Because
the
I'm with you,
people that are
Lucas. I
biased.
think that Dante Foreman
Yeah.
has this backfield within about 2 or 3 weeks here.
I agree.
And you guys could be right. I mean, the Texans need to do something, but I don't know if they're going to move on from Lamar Miller. I just think that he's too steady. He's their best pass catcher. He's their best blocker. I think once Donta Foreman, because he had fumbling issues in college, I think once he fumbles the ball, it's going to be the Alfred Blue the Alfred Blue watch.
That
So
could
then
happen.
we're not gonna be thinking about Donta Foreman as much, and then we're gonna think more about Alfred Blue, my boy Blue,
My boy,
my boy
Blue.
Blue. Exactly, you're my boy Blue. I think we'll be watching that again. So yeah, I think Lamar Miller is a very unexciting back that, I mean, he still had 7 points last week in the PPR.
Yeah.
So I
Um,
put
yeah.
him at about 35. I think Samaje P. Ryan had more. I think Jamal
Yeah.
Charles. I think we could go on a long list. I think all three of the running backs on the Saints had more.
Yeah, fair enough. I like Ryan Griffin as a dart throw. What about you guys?
Yeah, I think that's a good one right there. I think he could be pretty productive.
Yeah,
All
I think
right.
that's all right.
Anything else from this Texans game? Anything we should be watching out for?
Not really. I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I think we'll have another divisional shootout. So
Yeah, should be a good one to watch. That's for sure. All right, Lions at Vikings. This is the one I'm most excited about. So many great weapons in this game. So many, Abdullah, Cook, Riddick, Diggs, Tate, Thielen, even Galladay if he bounces back. Marvin Jones, if, he's been getting some touchdowns. Ebron, in the red zone. Rudolph, not so much. Who are we starting? Who are we sitting in this one, Lucas?
Ooh, the Vikings defense is the real deal.
Yes,
But
sir.
the Lions have looked pretty good on defense too so far. So,
Yeah.
I think you gotta tamper your expectations, but you're probably playing Diggs. I don't know who you're playing instead of him.
Right.
Go ahead and play Diggs. If you don't have better options, go ahead and put Thielen out there.
Mm.
I think that this may be Kenny Galladay's next good game because I think Rhodes ends up being on Marvin Jones. So I think Marvin Jones may be a guy that you want to put very deep on your bench this week. Tate, don't love.
you don't think he'll be shadowing Golden Tate most of the game?
I don't think so. I think that he's going to be on Jones, but I
Huh.
could be wrong. When in the Lions, they played the Cardinals. Okay, so that's right. Patrick Peterson. The Cardinals are one of the only teams that does shadow coverage with Patrick Peterson. Patrick Peterson sat on Marvin Jones that week, and Kenny Galladay out of nowhere has a big week. Marvin Jones had a terrible week, and if Rhodes does what they did and sits on Marvin Jones, which I think could happen, he might get spread between Tate and him, but I think he ends up on Jones because I think Jones is actually listed as their wide receiver 1. You guys might want to fact check me on that one, but I think Rhodes sits on him, so Tate could be okay. I think Galladay maybe gets some looks. I'm not really excited I'm sitting Amir Abdullah. I'm not really excited about Theo Riddick. Dalvin Cook, throw that boy out there. And, Galladay's my dart throw on that one.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, especially with Ebron not looking so good. And it seems like he is that Anquan Bolden mold. in the offense. So he's going to be a touchdown guy, and I think this is a nice bounce back from him too. So I'm gonna agree with you that he'll be my dart throw as well. Mike.
Yeah, I'm going to triple on that. I think Galladay actually has a good week this week.
All right.
All right.
Anything left from this game?
No,
I
just
see a
very
defensive
unpredictable. Yeah,
Yep.
good defenses, but at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if both teams have put up some numbers offensively as well. So very tough to predict. This is going to be one of the more difficult games to predict this week.
And it's
Lions
also
are
going to be
the-
one of the games that lets you know who's going to be leader in that division too.
Mhm.
Like who wins this is going to be. It's going to be a big game.
Yeah, the Lions are number one actually in defense right now. A little bit surprising. Something we can expect to keep up, guys.
Darius Slay, buddy. As long as he's on the field, you can count on it almost.
I think he's a little overrated, but I think that they've looked good so far, and they've played some pretty tough teams. So, I mean, they played
Yeah.
Atlanta, so
Yeah, that's true. It looked pretty legit.
and they made the Giants look pretty bad too, and they played, in New York. So,
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. So I wanted to touch the Lions DST before we moved on. All right, the Rams at Cowboys.
I can't wait for this game. I'm a Cowboys
Yeah,
fan.
right?
They're playing Dallas, but I'm excited here because, man, I want to see. This is going to be a very good litmus test for both of these teams, right? Because the Rams are looking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, is this the real deal? Like, if they come out and put up a lot of points on the Cowboys, which I think this could be the
They
shootout
can.
of the week.
Yeah.
This
it
could be another shootout. Todd Gurley, I am so excited. He was one of my major calls this season. I told everyone to get on him. I said he's coming back to form. So I am so excited to watch him play again. Cowboys have not looked that good on defense. So Todd Gurley, he is going to tear it up. And then I think Zeke Elliott's going to have a huge game as well. I mean, Zeke, he hasn't looked great, but he's a lot better than Hyde. And Hyde just ran all over LA. So, and Hyde had a bad hip last game. He ran out with a hip injury and came back in and did that. So, man, Zeke and Gurley, I am excited for this. And I think this may be Dez's best game. The Rams defense, they started out hot against the Colts, but I think that was just a product of who the Colts had as quarterback. They had, they were trying to figure some stuff out. So I think Dez has an okay game. Jason Witten, where's this guy? He's a top 3 tight end this season so far.
Well,
So I think that we continue to see that. Dak Lowe's thrown to Jason Witten and Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley has fallen off this season.
he has.
And that kind of surprised me a little bit. But Jason Witten has come on strong. I think that you got to run Zeke while you have him. For the Rams, man, I'm so confused between Cooper Kupp and Woods. Like, what is going on? I expect Cooper Kupp to be his guy, to lead the team in targets this season. Thought Sammy Watkins would have the big plays, but I thought Cooper Kupp was going to be. And then all of a sudden, Woods comes out and has a 100-yard game. Like, what are we doing here? What's going on?
Javon Austin.
What's up with that, Mike? What are we to take from that? Especially, I know you and I were really high on Kupp. I think it's just maybe look, we paid Woods, we traded for Watkins. Let's just target these guys and see what they're able to do. And they have Kupp. He's a rookie, so that's my take on it. Maybe that's why, and maybe they told him, hey, just throw to Woods a little bit more. It's trade. It's what we got 4 weeks until the trade deadline. So, maybe they're trying to feature him for a trade. They paid him, 50-something million? They paid the guy, so.
Right, yeah, no, I mean, and you got the guy. I don't know. I think what happened there was they just took over that that whole organization. They're like, guess what? We're together again. We know how to do this. Just throw the ball to one of us. We'll be okay. And I mean, I do really, honestly, I feel like that's maybe your 2 best receivers on that team too. I think that Kupp is good, but he's still a rookie, and they really, I mean, we're not looking for him at all in that last game. So I'm kind of off board on him right now, and I'm really kind of high on Robert Woods. That's just kind of where I'm sitting with that whole situation.
Yeah, especially Dallas have just been giving it up to wide receivers. 24 points a game at least. So Robert Woods, Watkins, those guys could benefit. I like them both this week, especially in a daily.
Absolutely.
All right, any dart throws in this one?
I really don't. I think they're all pretty obvious in this one.
Yeah, this is a tough one to pull out. I'm gonna say maybe Malcolm Brown after maybe spells Gurley maybe a little bit, especially he wasn't 100% coming into the week.
I'm gonna say Bryce Butler.
Ooh,
that's a good one. That's a good one. I like that. Yeah, he had that nice catch. It was like, whoa.
Yep.
It was just that came out of nowhere. Dak, man, I wish the Giants had Dak.
I don't. I'm so glad the Cowboys have him.
Man, he's so good. He's so good.
Good.
Yeah.
That little diving flip into the end zone is like, that's my boy. He could be sliding right there in the two.
That guy got some swag.
Get Zeke a touchdown, but no, he said that's mine. Eat him.
Oh man, that Dak is good. Dak is good. Panthers at Patriots. Good one. Who we starting? Who we sitting on this one? Panthers have been looking in disarray. Doesn't seem to have it together at all this year. They've got injuries, obviously. But what's going on with Cam? Could we maybe see a replacement of Cam? Does Cam get replaced at some point during the season?
You almost have to, don't you? You got to do something if you're going to want to try to organize that team to become a capable winning football team. I mean, man, you're talking about just two opposite ends of the spectrum coming at each other, right? We've got New England, who's playing just phenomenal football, and Carolina, who looks, like 10 years ago Raiders. These guys are just awful. They cannot get anything going. The only bright spot on that team to me is Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, I got to agree with you there. Christian McCaffrey does look like the one. Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Stewart, they're ones that you can at least continue to use. The Patriots one they're always tough because they go off of how the game is going. It's not like you can bank on it based off of, the Panthers was doing this last week and this is how they've been doing along the season. Patriots, they just play with however the game is going. They might have came in the game thinking we're going to pass the Cooks a lot, even though they don't do that. It's just so hard to predict. Danny Amendola might be the guy this week instead of Chris Hogan. Who are we starting and sitting out of these guys? I only feel confident starting Gronk in this game. Yeah, you're starting, I guess, Hogan if you have him. You're starting Cooks if you have him. But I don't really feel that comfortable.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. That's just how I always feel. You could start the ice cold Bud Light guy on the Patriots, and he might hit that week. That's just how that is with that team. But I agree. You can't sit these guys. You can't put them on your bench because if you do, they'll inevitably go off. But then when you play them, they give you like a 3, and then the other guy gives you the 100 points. It's just so hard to predict with these teams. But I again, with the only Panther I'm liking is McCaffrey. I don't really that backfield of New England is just still a 3-headed monster. I don't really like anything there. And again, I think where you drafted Cooks, you want Cooks. You're gonna have to start Cooks. Hogan, he's been going too far off to not, and then you're starting Gronk.
Anything, Lucas?
Look, Cooks is the number 2 wide receiver right now in terms of points, I believe, and Hogan's the number 5. So I'm starting both of them, and I'm happy to do it. I'm also starting Gronk. I'm also starting Gillislee because that guy is good in the red zone. I'm pretty happy with that team. Carolina's not looking good. I'm pretty happy to play pretty much everyone against them on the Patriots. Belichick finds a way. In terms of Carolina, kind of what you guys already said. If you have Kelvin, I'm going to play him. Stewart gets his touches. He's not an elite talent, but he's serviceable. And McCaffrey, I love his talent. Unfortunately, that team's just not gelling right now. So that is what I would do. If I'm going to throw a dart, it's going to look like Devin Funchess.
What about you, Mike? Who's your dart here?
Deion Lewis.
Oh, don't do it.
No.
It's the ice cold Bud Light guy.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say Damiere Byrd. Damiere Byrd plays for the Panthers. He looked amazing in the preseason. It's preseason.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I think I don't know. I mean, they don't look. They have to do something different. Funchess is not good. He's not fast. He's slow. And Benjamin, I don't know. He gets hit again, and then he's probably going to be missing for the rest of that game. They need to start doing something different. It's week 4. I like Demir Bird a lot. If they start to feature him more, if there's a change at quarterback, look out for Demir Bird and Russell Shepard.
Okay. Okay. I'm a little surprised. I left it open. I didn't hit on it. I thought you were gonna say James White. I thought someone was gonna throw a dart with James White. But okay, you're a Lewis lover, so White doesn't exist.
Yeah, he loves Lewis. So his dart throw is really White for you sleepers out there.
There you
Okay.
go.
So that's what that means.
I'll let
All right,
him say that for me.
Fair.
All right, we're
fair.
almost done, guys. We got Saints at Dolphins. Who we like here?
Love. Can I take this one, Mike? Can I start this one?
You,
Because
absolutely.
love
Who do you
this
love?
right now. Who do you love?
Who do you love?
Drew Brees, my boy.
Mhm.
Michael Thomas is going to go off, and that's really the only people that I'm just like, yeah, give me some of that. Drew Brees is going to hit someone. Who it is, I don't know, other than Michael Thomas. I think Fleener probably has an okay game.
Yeah.
I like Fleener. He's coming around this year. Flipping to the other side of the ball, Vonta Parker. Parker is going to go nuts. He might be the number 1 wide receiver this week. It could be Devonta Parker. Why? Because the Saints allow 67% of the passes thrown on them to be completed, and Devonta Parker is tied for the longest yard per throw average with any other wide receiver. You pair those two stats together, I think you're looking at a huge game. This is like
production.
The alignment of all of the stars and the moons and everything is just perfect right now. They're playing in London. This is going to be crazy. It's going to be a 100-point game for Devonta Parker.
100-point game. So start your Dolphins, right?
Start Parker. I think, everyone's been scared to play Ajayi. Ajayi, go trade for him right now. I'm a little bit nervous. He has a bad knee. He has like no cartilage in his knee or something like that. So I don't know that he's going to be around in the league for too many more years. Play him. I think this is if he doesn't have a good game this game, I would be nervous. But I think that he's going to have a good game. So I think that he's perfect to buy low on.
I got offered Ajayi for my digs this week, and
For who?
For my digs. And
No, wouldn't do that. Wouldn't do
I
that.
kind of chuckled. No,
That's not low enough.
that's not low at all.
I do Thielen. I would do Thielen. I would.
Yeah,
take
I'd do that.
for
Yeah.
Jai any day of the week right now. I mean, I would love
Right.
it because chances are you got Thielen really, really late. So what are you really giving up? Running backs are kind of a scarce commodity, and you're getting to buy. So I would do if it was Thielen. Yeah, I'd go for it. But Diggs, no. I would laugh. I would laugh at him. Say,
Yeah, it was a good chuckle. It was having a down day, and it helped. It helped bring me up. I needed that.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear it.
And my dart throw is going to be Stills on this one, even though he's tough to trust. I think he can score again. It was a sleeper for me last week. I believe he got to about 11 points in a PPR. So when I'm digging for sleepers, it's usually a guy on the waiver wires, not a guy that's on your team. And he's probably on waivers somewhere, unless you're in a 10-team, and you're in a deeper league, I should say, a 14-man. So yeah, I like Stills as a dart.
I like Kenyon Drake as my dart throw in this game. I think.
I like that.
I think with J.J. just having the struggles that he's having, I'm not high on that guy at all anymore this year. And so I think you can kind of start probably seeing a surge. I know I think temper a lot of expectations of this game. I'm kind of going the opposite field of this simply because it's in London. That London thing scares me. I don't like London. I don't like the fact that they play in London, although I love the fact that I get to watch football at 7:30 in the morning. That's awesome.
Oh,
Yep,
yeah.
all day.
That is beautiful. I mean, didn't you say I think you had dropped the interesting point on GroupMe, Mike? Help me with that. You were saying that the team that left the latest or something like that had, and it could be something interesting or not, But what were you saying about that? The
They
team
were
that
saying
left.
Baltimore left late last week, and they were talking about
Okay.
how Miami and New Orleans were both going to be leaving later on in the week
Oh, okay.
and heading over. I never actually looked to see who did what as far as that goes, but that does have a big difference. You got to get used to
Right.
a pretty big time difference there, and obviously Baltimore did not. You can tell that they were just still asleep. They were not in that football game. There was not one player that just woke up and said, "Oh, the alarm's up," like we're down 40 points.
All right. And the Packers game's going on, so we won't cover that. But who's going to go off on this game, guys? We're going to wake up and who did what? Who went off?
Ooh, Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb. Yeah, Cobb is a beast. He's active. The guy's a beast.
I think
I
it
love
feels
me
like
some
a
Randall Cobb
Devontae
as well.
Adams kind of night, but I can see Jordy Nelson also just going ham bananas too.
Yeah, I like Cobb. And by the way, I forgot to throw my dart at that last game, and it's going to look a lot like Alvin Kamara.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I like Kamara as well. That's a good call. He could take over this backfield, especially since the Saints don't like Ingram. I love him. I wish they would just trade Ingram at this point, and maybe they do. Maybe they trade Ingram or AP. Again, we got 4 weeks to the trade deadline, so don't drop any of these guys. I would say don't drop AP yet because of that. I think he's a good trade candidate, even though he hasn't really looked good. But AP's one of those guys that needs to get fed the ball.
Give him the rock.
Yeah, and that's about it, man. We are done with our week recap. That is all, man. We are just looking forward to the Sunday games now.
All right.
Where can the people find us, love us, Lucas?
Real simple. You can find me on Sleeperbot, Sleeperwire LBB. Go hit me up on there.
Mike, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Dr. Kane21, and you can find me on Sleeperbot and on Instagram at Dirty Jobs and Dirty Jobs Mike.
That's right. And head over to our sleeperwire.com for our rankings podcast and submit your questions. We have a mailbag show, a mail sack show, I should say. Submit your questions. If we don't get to your questions on the mail sack show, submit your questions through the website. We promise to answer them within 24 hours. And then, if you can't reach us there for some reason, there's a freak accident or something we aren't able to answer there, go on the Sleeperbot app. We're also always on there. We're mods, analysts on there, and Twitter as well. We're on there at Dirty Jobs Mike. I'm at Prophet Hus on Sleeperbot. On Twitter, at Sleeperwire Show. I'm at Sleeperwire Hus on Twitter. And that is about it, guys. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you guys next time. Good luck.
Adios.
From the Sleeper Wire Fantasy Football Show will help you win your fantasy football championship. Sleeper Wire, Friday 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Sleeper Wire on Dash Talk.